goal to land on the moon and have them safely return back to Earth was proposed in 1961 by President John F. Kennedy. 3 members of the crew, Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, Edwin Aldrin. The Apollo spacecraft had 3 parts: a command module with a cabin for the 3 astronauts and the only part that landed back on Earth, a service module which supported the command module with propulsion, electrical power, oxygen, and water, and a lunar module for landing on the moon after being sent toward the moon by the Saturn V's upper stage. The astronauts separated the spacecraft from it and traveled for 3 days until they entered into lunar orbit. Apollo 11 launched from Cape Kennedy on July 16, 1969, carrying Commander Neil Armstrong, Commander Module Pilot Michael Collins, and Lunar Module Pilot Edwin Aldrin, into an initial Earth orbit of 114 by 116 miles. They landed on the moon in the Sea of Tranquility, July 20th, 1969.
They stayed for a total of 21 and a half hours on the moon's surface. Neil Armstrong was carrying a piece of wood from the 1903 Wright brothers airplane's left propeller and a piece of fabric from its left wing, along with a diamond-studded pin originally for Deke Slayton. When landing, Armstrong and Aldrin found that they were passing their landmarks by 4 seconds early and landed miles west of their actual target. Armstrong landed the spacecraft at 20 hours, 17 minutes, and 40 seconds on Sunday, July 20th, with about 25 seconds of fuel left. Apollo 11 had the least amount of fuel of any manned mission to the moon due to the fact that there was slosh forming in the fuel tank. After landing and stepping off the Eagle's footpad, Armstrong stated these famous lines:
"That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind."
On the moon, they gathered samples of soil from the moon, and Armstrong took it and put it in his bag just in case if they couldn't recover any samples on the rocket. On the surface, they tested many methods for moving around and had to plan 6 or 7 steps ahead because it was slippery. Also, they planted the U.S. flag on the surface of the moon.
After lifting off in the upper part of the lunar module and rejoining Collins in the command module, they returned to Earth and landed in the Pacific Ocean on July 24th.
On the same evening, in Los Angeles, there was an official state dinner to celebrate the flight attended by 44 governors, members of Congress, and Chief Justice of the United States, and 83 ambassadors from nations at the Century Plaza Hotel. President Richard Nixon and Vice President Spiro T. Agnew honored each astronaut with a presentation of Presidential Medal of Freedom. This celebration was the beginning of a 45-day Giant Leap tour that brought the astronauts to 25 foreign regions and included visits with prominent leaders such as Queen Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom. On August 13th, they rode in parades in their honor in New York City, Chicago, and Los Angeles. On September 16, 1969, 3 astronauts spoke before a joint session of Congress on Capitol Hill. They presented 2 U.S. flags, one to the House of Representatives and the other to the Senate. They had been carried to the surface of the moon with them. Many other nations honored the first moon landing with special features in their magazines or by issuing Apollo 11 commemorative coins and post stamps. During the space race between the U.S. and Soviet Union, the U.S. wanted to return minerals from the moon to the Earth before the Soviet Union, which they accomplished.